Hello students, welcome back to our class, and today we will discuss about the life of modern man, that is in continuations of the last or previous class. And so we will start with dwelling places, the dwelling places. And so the early men, they built permanent home for shelter from the long, harsh, cold winter of the Ice Age. And in the summer, they make use of tent, and in the winter, they make use of the Ice Age hut. And also, their huts were built with branches of trees and animal bones and skins. And also, the early men, they built their homes properly so that it will last longer. And also, there has been an evidence of long hut as well as small hut, and this evidence have been found in Ukraine. And so, small huts for small group of people and long huts for the entire community. And these early men, they were pastoral people, and as I said, in the summer, they make use of the tent, and this tent could be moved from place to place along with their herds. And in the winter, they will come back to their winter shelter, and usually they have to chase out the wild animals which had moved in during their absence. Now we will discuss about their food. The early men, they were hunter-gatherers, and they obtained food through a number of ways, such as scavenging, hunting, fishing, and gathering. And also, the early men, they ate variety of nuts, fruits, and also roots. And not only that, the early men, they also ate fish. And it is believed that there is an abundant supply of freshly caught fish. And the life of these early men is not just about constant struggle for survival, because they were good hunters. And they know how to organize hunt, that is hunting, and also it was done individually or by groups. And also the early men, they know how to preserve and store food for the winter. And also they knew the art of using traps, which allowed them to catch food while they were busy doing some other works. And also to catch fish, they make use of bow, arrow, and even with poisons. Now we will discuss about their clothing. The early men, they know how to cover themselves with warm clothes in the winter and cooler clothes in the summer. And also they cover the body with barks and also with skins, animal skins. And some people, they know how to make this necklace and also bracelet, and this necklace and bracelet were made from the bones and also with teeth, flowers, and feathers. And some of the early men, they likes to decorate their body with tattoos and also with paintings. Now we will discuss about their art. The early men, they know how to make jewelry, and also they know how to make pots. And in the later stage, the pots were baked in the fire so that it will be more beautiful, more stronger, and it can last long. And also, they also make little statues with bones and ivory. Now we will discuss about their tools. The early men, they were very skilled in tool making, and their tools and implements included bow, arrow, harpoons, stone axes, and also knives. Now we will discuss about the modes of communication. Modes of communication. Of all the living beings, only humans have language, and so the scholars, they have expressed different opinions regarding the development of language, And so it is viewed that the first language of the hominid include gesture, which involved hand movement. And the second view is that it is based on vocal but non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication like singing or humming. And the third view is that human speech might have begun with calls that has been observed among the primates. And the historians, they are of the view that language developed as early as 2 million years ago, and also the brain of the Homo habilis. The brain of the Homo habilis, it might have some features which make it possible for them to speak. And also, the development of language has close connection with the development of art. Why? Because both are media of communication. Now we will discuss about the paintings. The early men, they were excellent and also they were marvelous in painting, and they do a number of paintings, and they do a number of paintings on the rocks as well as on the cave walls. But we don't know the reason why they make paintings, and so a number of paintings on animals has been done in between 30,000 to 12,000 years ago. 30,000 to 12,000 years ago, and it has been discovered. It has been discovered in the cave of Lascaux and Chauvet. Lascaux and Chauvet, that is in France, and Altamira in Spain. And also, most of their cave paintings, it focused on the hunters and the animals. And the early men, to draw the figure of a man, to draw the figure of man, they drew a stick figure. While for the animals, it was well drawn, making use of natural color in order to give shapes and substance. And even the scientists, they do not know why these early men, they make painting and why they selected the caves, dark, hidden places for painting. But it is assumed that maybe something to do with the religion, or maybe something to do with their recreational activities, or maybe something to do with their rights of manhood. And now we will discuss about the historians' view on present-day hunting-gathering society. Historians' view on present-day hunting-gathering societies. So, even after the coming of so many advanced group of people or society, this hunting-gathering society continued to exist in different parts of the world. And for about 100 years, this hunting-gathering society flourished in the New World, and also in Australia, and also in the Southwest Africa, rainforests of Central Africa, and in the remote areas of Southeast Asia, and in the neighboring island, and also in the Arctic Asia. So, this modern hunting-gathering society, they lived a nomadic way of life, and they shift from place to place for so many reasons. So, the first reason that is based on in order to search for a more food supply. And the second reason that is on because of seasonal change. And the third reason that is because of conflicts within their groups. And so, for thousands of years, these modern hunting-gathering societies, they have maintained a stable relationship with the environment, and they lived a very satisfying way of life. But it is believed that by the end of this century, this hunting-gathering society will vanish. And now we will discuss about the Neolithic period. Okay, so for thousands of years, humans, they survived through hunting and gathering. And by about 10,000 years, they became a food producer. So, they left behind their Paleolithic way of life, that is the Old Stone Age, and entered into a new age, that is the Neolithic Age or the New Stone Age. So, first of all, we will try to know the difference between the Paleolithic Age and the Neolithic Age. So, in the Paleolithic Age, the men, they made stone tools by polishing and grinding rather than fracturing or chopping. Whereas in the Neolithic period, they made ground stone tools which are more durable than the Paleolithic stone tools. Because of this, it led to an important inventions like we have the plows and the wheels, the plows and the wheels towards the close of the Neolithic period. And the second most important difference between the Paleolithic and the Neolithic is that the Paleolithic man do obtain food through a number of ways, whereas the Neolithic man, they were food producer. And the hunters in the Paleolithic period, they also know or they have the knowledge about agriculture, but they didn't shift to agriculture. Why? Because there was abundant food supply. And also they have to work less in order to procure their food. And the other reason why they didn't shift to agriculture is because of their good health. And this Paleolithic people, since they lived a nomadic way of life and they were constantly unmoved, they were not cut down by the disease from the human waste and the waste materials that were piled up in the village where the peasant lived. And another reason why they didn't shift to agriculture is because of less plants and animals to be domesticated. But the question here is, why did they shift from food gatherings to food producer? Then the answer will be on because of the increasing number of population. And so, by 10,000s of years, the number of humans increased tremendously. And so, it led to migration of people in Africa to Europe, Asia, Australia, and to America. So, all the continent except Antarctica, it became overpopulated. So now the hunters, they were forced to supplement their food with what they have gathered with what they grew. And also the agriculture became a full-time occupation. Where is plants and animals to be domesticated. And in the process of domestication, the wild plants and animals provide more food. And the hunters now, they spend most of the time in producing food until they ended up living as a peasant in the village. Now we will discuss about the life of Neolithic man. And so the greatest transformation from food gatherers to food producer was the sedentary way of life. And in the Neolithic period, everyone, that is man, woman, children, they have to work hard in order to produce their food and also to procure handicraft articles. But this in the Neolithic period, the productivity level was very low. Why? Because their knowledge about agriculture, that is the soil, the seed, manners and the crop rotation, it was less, okay? And not only that, there were frequent epidemics, okay? And not only that, there were frequent famines, okay? And so, as I said, these epidemics were also very common, okay? Why? Because the people, they have less knowledge about sanitation or health care. Yet, the life of these Neolithic people, it's not just about sufferings or misery, okay? It's not about sufferings or misery, because this was the period where there was rapid technological progressment than in the Paleolithic period. And in the Neolithic period, the people, they started to make pottery, and also in the later stage, the pot were back in the fire so that it will be more durable. And not only that, about 6,000 years BC, they started to make use of wheel-made pottery. And these pots, okay, were decorated with paintings with the figure of man and animals. And also these Neolithic people, they also make progress in the field of textile. And they make use of fibers. From the newly domesticated plants, like we have the hemp plants, and also we have the cotton flax. Okay, and also the Neolithic people, they also built permanent home for shelter, and their settled way of life led to the development of tribal political structure, and also the basic social unit of the Neolithic village was the family. And the joint family or the extended family, it was more common than the nuclear family or the single family system. Why? Because it was best suited to cope up with the problems of everyday life. And another most important feature of this Neolithic period was the social homogeneity or social equality. And so, in Neolithic village, every family, they have the required skills and tools to produce whatever they want. And also, every family, they were equally important. and were the important component of the village, which owned village farmlands, pasture, forests, and the natural resources available to them. And now we will discuss about their religious belief. So, the Neolithic people, they began to experience religious thoughts and feelings. And their religious outlook, it includes the concept of soul and spirit. And the Neolithic people, they believe in the life after death. And also, in order to please their God, they introduce rites and rituals in their religion. And also, not only that, they also introduce a class of priests who possess the power of divine healing and to cast out magic spells. And also, the Neolithic people, in order to please their God, they also went to the extent of human sacrifice, self-mutilation, and also animal sacrifices were met. And also, the system of burial became more elaborate, and also belief in the life after death became more visible. And so, the dead people, they were accompanied by their funerary items such as the tool, the pottery, the jewelry, and even with their slaves. Okay, so from this chapter 2, we have studied how the people from millions of years, how they have spent their life gathering, hunting, and for about 10,000 to 15,000, how the people in different parts of the world, they began to grow plants and animals. And not only that, about 13,000 years ago, the condition for growing food as well as for growing grass became more, and it increased the number of animal species, like we have the cattle, the sheep, and also the goat and pigs, and also with donkeys. So the people, they started to grow more plants and animals. And not only that, the people, with the introduction of agriculture, more and more people, they began to lead a settled way of life. And also the changes in the use, of pot as well as with the introduction of the wheel. It also helps in the means of transportation. So many changes took place from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic Age. But the early men, they still lacked the ability to adequately utilize the resources available to them, and they were ignorant about the art of writing, which is considered the most important and most essential for a highly civilized society. So that's all for today's class, but before we conclude, let's refer back what we have discussed today. So today we have discussed the life of modern man, dwelling places, food, clothing, arts, tools, modes of communication, paintings, historians' view on present-day hunting-gathering societies, Neolithic period, and the life of Neolithic man and their religious belief. So that's all for today's class. Thank you.